The human being has a vivid set of emotions. Circumstances will augment certain feelings and emotions while the others would take a backdrop position in the life. Hatred is a common emotion no matter how negatively it is perceived. In the world of glam and fame, it is very natural to hate colleagues, counterparts, competition, and those you deem are better. We have compiled a list of 10 pairs of famous people hated each other. They don't pair up for love or friendship, rather it is the hatred that makes the stake the names together. 10. The Jawmaker's Jaws. The famous thriller involving killer sharks fascinated us throughout our childhood. Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss, and 2 famous people who hated each other, and their animosity began on the set of Jaws. According to the story, Shaw expressed desire to quit his dependency on booze, and Dreyfuss responded by throwing Shaw's drink out of the window. Shaw spent the rest of his time on shoot bullying Dreyfuss. Although they ended up producing the epic thriller, maybe their animosity was the reason why we were able to tell that the shark was Plastic 9. The Star Trek leads William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy were on feud continuously on the set. Shatner insisted for a few Spock's lines to be those of Captain Kirk's. The relationship eventually became heated as Nimoy felt that the Cap was trying to steal his glory. The petty feuding went on throughout the series, but they later reconciled. So hatred is not something eternal. It does not need to exist forever. You can get over the petty issues and bury the hatchet. One other reason for them being at loggerheads was that Shatner kept stealing Nimoy's bicycle. 8. Bette Davis and Joan Crawford. According to sources, Bette Davis and Joan Crawford loathed each other. They never made up and feuded for their entire careers. It was possibly more to do with professional jealousy than with personal rift. Davis believed that Crawford had slept her way to the top of her industry. The press gave more coverage to Crawford, and Davis despised the fawning of paparazzi over Crawford's social life. The latter big-heartedly tried to make friends with Davis by sending her tokens of friendship, but the gifts were returned, telling her to lay off the lesbian overtures. Talk about overthinking. Bette Davis is regarded as one of the greatest actresses in the history of Hollywood. Crawford, on the other hand, was amongst the list of greatest female stars of Hollywood, despite beginning her career as a dancer and as a stage show girl. Amongst the most famous people who hated each other are also our favorites David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson on The X-Files. This again was due to no personal rift, rather Duchovny blames the insane timing and awkward shoot locations for the show. The relationship between both the lead stars remained strained over the years, and they continued to snipe at each other on and off the set. Years after The X-Files came to an end, the stars patched up. Interestingly, although they were co-stars, they shared such vivid chemistry that as teens we never figured that the backstage relationship could be so stressful. Kudos to them for sorting this out though. 6. Julia Roberts against her brother Eric. We all know Julia Roberts and her brother Eric Roberts for their looks as well as their acting. Eric won a Golden Globe Award for his performance in King of the Gypsies and has worked in over 400 films over a span of 40 years. Off-screen, he has had a disturbed history of violent assault, including abusing his spouse. According to most sources, the rift between Julia and his brother started over the custody of Eric's daughter Emma. Apparently, Julia supported Eric's ex in the battle for custody, which led to the beginning of a feud between the two. They don't seem to have gotten through the issues over the years. Both Pete Sampras and Agassi have been tennis stars in the time, but little did many of us know that they literally hated each other because of the game. The rivalry definitely was born out of professional jealousy, which is a norm in the sporting industry. Although they had been fighting on and off the court until Sampras retired during a charity match in 2010, neither of them held their feelings back. They spent the round mocking each other on open mics and sending slander in the way of each other. They gave the world a chance to see two famous people who hated each other in a rather ironic way. 4. Post-GNR. Axl Rose and Slash did not remain friends post-GNR. For 20 years they have been sniping at each other. Rose says that Slash was a cancer that was righteously removed from the band for the good of it. He also forbids Slash t-shirts on his concerts. Talk about animosity and symbolism, though, while Slash is not too friendly about Rose either. He says that Rose is a douche that demanded full legal ownership of the band name GNR, short for Guns N' Roses, is an American band from Los Angeles formed in 1985. Their accumulated sales have touched 100 million records globally. They are one of the best-selling bands of all time, so whoever was looking for full ownership was doing it for a reason. However, according to Wikipedia, Slash and Rose both appear on the present band members list. 3. Tony Curtis and Marilyn Monroe. On the screen, both Curtis and Monroe not only exuded appeal, but also shared a vivid romantic chemistry. Off the screen, however, Curtis hated her and compared her with Hitler. During the filming of Some Like It Hot, issues that Marilyn had made life tough for all the cast and crew members. Curtis hated working with her, and when someone asked how he felt about doing romantic scenes with her, he said that kissing her was like kissing Hitler. Famous for playing dumb blonde characters, Monroe was one of the most popular sex symbols of the 1950s and the highest-paid actress for a decade. Monroe controlled the use of her images and devised her own publicity strategy. Despite Tony Curtis' comment, he later claimed that the two famous people who hated each other had an affair which resulted in Monroe's pregnancy. 2. Taylor Swift and Katy Perry. Both Taylor Swift and Katy Perry are notoriously famous people who hated each other, and the feud continues to date. It is not only that they have expressed anger at each other. Swift's song Bad Blood is about Katy Perry, and supposedly the latter went as far as trying to sabotage one of Swift's performances. Interestingly, they were both close friends before becoming sworn enemies of each other. The personal feud continued for years before it became public. Both women ended up dating the same man at some point in their lives. Right before her album 1989 released, Swift spoke about the awkward friendship that she had with Katy, and from there on the world saw the two squabbling. 1. Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio. In 1996, during the filming of Romeo and Juliet, the 16-year-old Claire Danes reportedly hated the pranks that DiCaprio played on the cast and crew. She found her 22-year-old co-star immature, while DiCaprio thought that she was too uptight. Rumor has it that they did not talk to each other except when they were filming the scenes. Although it sounds pretty much like any normal couple, how it didn't affect their on-screen chemistry is surprising. They hid the anger and hatred quite well in the scenes, possibly mumbling "hate you" and "hate you too" to each other while kissing. Who knows, working with people that you do not like is very hard, but when you pretend to like people that you really hate, it is called acting and being the most difficult thing. This is what the stars are paid big bucks for. Imagine expressing your love to the person you have hated all your life and then kissing them on the set, for the camera to capture it, and letting it throw it to your face for the rest of your life. Worth $3 million.